Hi, Montse.
Hi, Rachel. Good
How
morning.
are you?
I'm pretty good. Yeah.
Good.
Uh, kind of trying to stay cool today. The heat is
Yes, hot.
going up every day.
It's getting hot. Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining me today. I know we've tried to record this podcast a few times, and certain things have popped up in our lives, and we've had to cancel and reschedule. But here we are. So thank you very much. I'm excited to record today. So I think it's a really, really important one. Um, and you're going to be giving us a lot of tips, a lot of information, which I think a lot of mums to be who are expecting and mums who've had baby will really get a lot out of this podcast today. So before I go on very more, can you just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit who you are and what you're going to be talking about today. It's going to come better from your words.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I am my name is Montserrat or Monse, and I'm a licensed acupuncturist and functional medicine practitioner. And I specialize in helping moms with exhaustion, heal from their exhaustion and thrive and get their vitality back. Um, I'm a mom of two girls. My oldest is 5 and the youngest is 1.5. And I started focusing on moms when my first was about a year and a half. And it was kind of the time when I started studying functional medicine more intensely. Um, and I had been practicing acupuncture for a while, but at that point I dove into functional medicine, which is root cause medicine, looking for the root cause of illness and utilizing a lot of functional medicine labs. So at the time didn't know what was going on with me. I just thought, okay, I am a tired mom and I'm working and this is normal, to be kind of irritated all the time and kind of snappy and a little anxious and just like tired but wired and um
Yeah.
running my own business. I just kept moving along. And what I didn't really realize, so I thought I was doing all the right things to kind of keep going. I was taking my prenatals because I was still nursing my daughter. I was exercising, eating organic, all the things, right? But what I
Yeah.
didn't realize is that I hadn't given myself enough time to recuperate after I gave birth. I went back to work like 2 months after she was born. Um,
Wow.
because I'm running the show at my work. It's my business, so no one's gonna
For you.
take over. So I just went right back, chugged along. I felt like I was playing catch up all the time. And I believe that the reason that well, I eventually noticed that I needed help because, the turning point was when my daughter was having a tantrum. And this is like when she started having tantrums about a year and a half. And I was unable to stay grounded. I remember just kind of having like a meltdown myself because I couldn't
Mhm.
hearing her crying and kind of that meltdown where you're just like, nothing, I can't take it away. She's just gonna bawl and, for no reason. Um, of course, her own reason, but at the time I was just like, this is terrible. And I was on the floor sobbing and then, after that I was like, wow, I really need help. Like I knew that was like not okay, like that I couldn't hold
Red
it.
flag here. Yeah.
So then at that point I said, oh my gosh, like I need to treat myself like I would my patient. And so I ran some labs on myself. I did all the functional medicine testing that I do for my patients. I wanted to dig deep into like where I was, how my overall health was. And I got my lab test results. I was pretty shocked to see that like my results were some of the worst I had seen in like a lot of my sick patients. So I was like, wow, like I've been in denial about how, depleted I really was. I just thought it was normal to give everything to my child
Yeah.
and everything to my,
Yeah.
and my
Because
family.
we're told all the time, it's normal, it's normal, it's going to be tiring, you're going to be exhausted, you'll put the dishwasher on 3 times because you can't bother to unload it. It's normal, but you're going deeper here.
Yes, yes. And I, you know, it, yeah, it's normal to put yourself aside and put yourself last as well, as a mom. Like that's what we just do. But it catches up eventually, if you're not paying attention. So after I found out how depleted my adrenals were, which is like sort of the root cause for me, um, that's where the stress hormones are produced in the adrenals. And I had just been, on overdrive for so long at that point, a year and a half, still nursing, I think she was waking up still maybe once a night or something. And never really nourished myself after, like properly after she was born. Then I started to treat myself. I gave myself a program, did the supplements, said no to a lot of things, just like really slowed down and paid attention to my body. And it was incredible. Like I felt this huge comeback after that. I came back from that place pretty quickly. I would say like 1 to 3 months, I was feeling like, oh my gosh, like I woke up from this haze. And it was so powerful. Like it really inspired me, my own transformation inspired me. And so that's when I said, I have to work with moms. Like this is it. Like if I can help even like 5 other moms feel this way and like come back from the other side, the world would be a better place, like everyone would benefit. And a lot of the moms that I help are working moms because they're the ones that are pushing a lot. And, stay-at-home moms are pushing a lot as well. So they're working in their own right. But, kind of the type of mom that is just like grinding away and, just like all day on their feet. And, yeah, managing a lot for the family. And so that's kind of like I use my method, the method that I used on myself on, other moms, and it just works. I created a system and it's called the Montse method. And that's what a lot of moms come into that program and they're kind of in that low place and wanting like deep transformation, and they're ready to just like dive in and transform their lives and come back from that place. So that's
Be the mom that they wanted to be and not this kind of like shadow of a person.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
also, I have a guide also for moms that are, curious, or if they're really wanting some like
Yeah,
immediate kind of tips. It's called the Thriving Mama Guide for Abundant Energy at Home and Work.
I got that. I
And
got that.
yeah, it's a totally free guide, and it just gives you some like really helpful tips that you can utilize right away in your
Yeah,
everyday
it
life.
does.
You can find it at monsehealth.net. So MONTSEHEALTH.net. And just like sign up for the free guide and you'll get some really helpful tips to get you
Yeah.
back.
And they're simple tips that you can do. They're not complicated. And this is the thing, like when people like think, oh, I need to get help, whether it's, with you or with me for their sleep or, losing weight or, moving a piece of furniture in the house or something. And it's normal for us to think, oh my gosh, I'm going to have this massive, great big overhaul, and do I have the time for it? And do I have the mental energy for it? And no, I'll just keep going. It'll pass. And these tips really sort of start the ball rolling, and they're simple, easy tips um that you can do and take it slowly. So it's really good. So today, what I'm going to be asking you a bunch of questions, kind of what you're sort of talking about here is this postnatal depletion. So once baby has been born, this sort of depletion, it's not a depression, so we've got to be careful that we don't mix the two words together here. But can you explain a bit more, Monse, like what is postnatal depletion, and how would you say it differs from a typical postpartum recovery? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah,
Two separate questions there.
yeah. So So postnatal depletion is a group of symptoms that affects all aspects of a mother's life after she's given birth. So, and if it's not properly treated, it can last up to 10 years. So this
That's
can include,
frightening. That's
yeah,
really frightening.
it can include nutrient insufficiency, so deficiencies of, vitamins and minerals. It can include sleep deprivation and new mother's change of role. So those are all kind of like the basis of depletion, um, postnatal depletion. It differs from postpartum recovery because so essentially it's like the typical postnatal recovery time or postpartum prolonged. So if we don't take care of ourselves in that postpartum time, which is, they say it's like 4 weeks, right? 4 to 6 weeks, I think, technically.
Totally.
Yeah, if we don't nurture ourselves in that time, especially that time, I think it's longer, though, personally, that can prolong the symptoms of depletion. So if you, let's say you have anxiety in that postpartum time, which is somewhat to a certain level, it's normal because, your body has lost a lot of fluids, a lot of blood, a lot of sleep, emotional support may be lacking, nutrition may be lacking. We these days we don't have that like family system that or we may not, some people do, that you have, your mother cooking for you or your mother-in-law watching the baby so you can nap. And, we're not set up in this communal way that nourishes the mother to kind of get back on her feet in a
Yeah.
timely manner. So the way that we push ourselves and have expectations of ourselves really keeps us in that place of postpartum recovery for a long period of time. So I would say, for moms that are 35 and up, that is especially important. It's always important to take care of yourselves postpartum, right? But if you are like 35 years and up, you might start with more depletion because you have lived more life, you have more, you're starting from a more depleted place. So it's really important for those moms. And those are typically the moms that, run themselves down even more because they're used to, and they have this expectation of themselves to be productive, to manage so many things at once and maybe not have their mom around or other family members or loved ones that are supporting them, or they just don't want to ask for help. They want to do it all themselves.
Yeah.
So
Which is normal again. Like we think we can do it all. And whilst maybe we can, we just need just a little bit of help. And it's okay to ask for help.
yeah, that's a big one. Um,
I cashed in some help on the weekend. I was flying solo at the weekend, and a friend of ours, I've got a swimming pool, and there's like, bring the kids over, let them play in the pool and relax. And I phoned Ali up, and I was like, I need to cash that in. I am exhausted. I need some time. Can I bring the kids and they can play and I can just like zone out? It's like, yeah. So it's just asking for that help, and you feel so much better for it because people will generally say yes.
Definitely. Yes. Yeah, I have more on that later. The asking for help is a big
It's a huge
something
thing.
that, yeah, you have to learn. Mhm.
So, what would you say are the common signs or symptoms that a mother may experience that might point towards postnatal depletion?
Yeah. So things to look for are anxiety, baby brain, depression. Baby brain is kind of known, right? Like that kind of
That fog.
forgetful brain fog, kind of hazy, like, you know, grabbing, putting the keys somewhere, going into a room and grabbing something and being like, what was I gonna get? That's baby
Yeah,
brain. Other physical things like easily bruised or bruising easily, hair
that's
loss,
interesting.
brittle nails, obviously the fatigue, inflammation, so like body pain or joint aches and pains, insomnia, loss of self-confidence, low libido, overweight, sensitivity to light and sound, thinning and loose skin, and then that
Okay.
feeling of tired and wired. So how common are these symptoms? I just, even just like take one of those, it's like, how many moms have that, like,
Yeah, I know. And we all feel that when we had a baby. But I guess there's a threshold, and what you're saying, like if it goes on for more time and we all feel like anxious, for example, when we're laying the baby down to sleep or we're going out in the pram for the first time, like, oh, I remember thinking, oh, there's a curve and I gotta cross the road and is it gonna wake the baby up and the car, all of these things we start, you know, and if that snowballs, right? And the depression's an interesting one, Monse, because I've always been told watch out for the sort of 6 to 8 week mark with new mums because that's the time where you know it's not when the bubble pops at all, but it's the family have all been over, the friends have all been over, you've had all the flowers and the cards, all the text messages, congratulations, you've had a baby, it's exciting, and your husband's partner's gone back to work and it's around 6 8 weeks, it's like, okay, this is reality now. I've got to find my way here. And it's not a novelty thing for anyone around me. This is just, I'm getting on with my life. And you go in the store and, it's like, I've got a newborn baby here, everyone. And people are carrying on. And it's that point there where sometimes reality really kicks quite hard in a lot of mums at that point. And then there's tears, the baby blues, right? And again, there's that threshold that we've got to look for.
yeah, that can be like the beginning sort of this postnatal depletion, kind of, prolonged, all of those normal like symptoms start to be
Yes.
prolonged if there's not a transition that happens, that is supportive. So if there's no support in place when the husband or the partner goes back to work, that mom is left isolated, feeling probably very lonely, feeling depressed, anxious, then the sleep starts to affect her. Then there's body pain from holding the baby all day. And this all kind of like builds on each other, all of these symptoms. And then it becomes this like vicious cycle of like, oh my gosh, I'm anxious because I don't have this thing and I don't have this thing. So I become depressed. And then, and then they're not eating well because there's no extra time or energy really. It's just that depletion sets in and it's like, I don't have the energy to, take myself on a walk or on a yoga class or it's so
Me time.
it really is common. It's a lot more common than we know.
Mm.
So it's like how, I was not very in tune with myself when I was hitting rock bottom until it was like, this loud speaker telling me, you need help, and like, it took me a lot to realize that because I was just like denying, I'm not tired, I'm fine, I could do this, And so it's really important to have those check-ins with yourself and really listen to your body, not just your baby. We listen
Yeah.
so much to our baby, but we have to listen ourselves too.
Yeah. So it's the psychological and emotional factors that are really sort of like can contribute here. Can you explain a bit more the physiological? I would get the two words mixed up here. The physiological factors that really sort of contribute to this postnatal depletion.
Yeah. So physiologically, our body is going through so many changes, right? Like hormones are changing. We are giving from ourselves. So if you're a breastfeeding mom, that can greatly contribute to your depletion, because all of your nutrition and nutrients are going to the baby through our breast milk. So that can cause it. And then the baby's health status. So often babies might have like reflux or eczema or sleep issues, colic, all of these things. That's super depleting for a mom because, she's on guard constantly, right? Like we're
Hypervigilant. What's going on? What's going on?
That's it. Yeah. And then diet and nutrition, like I said before, diet and nutrition is like kind of comes last a lot of times. I hear about mom's diets sometimes. I'm like, you did what? You ate a bagel for breakfast? Like, you're supporting this life. You're helping a life grow. A bagel is just empty calories. So that's huge. And then any pregnancy related complications. So if you had a cesarean section, or if you had any, there's, if you had any, prolonged hospital stay or birth trauma, that's also very depleting. And then social systems or social support system, if you don't have that in place, another
Yeah.
reason for a huge, drop in emotional resilience. And then of course, sleep and the lack of sleep, and then stress management. So there's no, those are all contributing, or lack of stress management. So if you're just going, and you're not taking breaks for yourself, whether it's taking a 10-minute walk by yourself, sitting and having a cup of tea by yourself in silence. A lot of moms just don't have that, or they don't give themselves that. Even when the baby's like taking a nap, they're doing laundry or
Something.
cleaning up, or and there's no pause. So that those all can contribute greatly to the depletion.
And then there's the partner, the husband. Mine always says, "Well, it only takes 5 minutes to put the washing on." Breathe through that comment and just carry on.
Yes.
Well, what's interesting, you said there, one thing is about the bagel for breakfast, right? And it's so easy, right? We've got all this food in the fridge, or maybe there's no food in the fridge, and it's like, what is here? And we empty out the bread tin, and there's like some old bagels there. We just eat it. Like, we're hungry. I can't be bothered making anything. I'm just going to eat that. At least I'm having something. At least I've got something in me. How how important, like, how important is it? I mean, obviously we know it's really important to take the right essential nutrients here, but how does the I guess the depletion, missing out these essential nutrients during pregnancy and sort of childbirth, that moment, that time, contribute to this postnatal depletion? If we're just eating bagels and rubbish empty calories, how is that going to contribute to feeling this complete depletion once we've had the baby?
That's such a huge topic. So the nutrient needs, they typically decrease after the pregnancy for the mom, but there's still essential nutrients that become deficient. So this includes iron, zinc, vitamin D, B vitamins, vitamin C, magnesium, copper, and then fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, K, and E. I mentioned D already. And then iron deficiency also.
Yeah.
So, for example, iron deficiency can cause poor cognition or memory. It can cause depression and fatigue. So those, just even having one depleted, mineral like iron is going to cause a slew of symptoms. Zinc deficiency can also cause depression, or low stomach acid. So that can cause like poor digestion. And then magnesium deficiency can cause constipation, headaches, depression, muscle tightness, fatigue, poor concentration. And then vitamin D, of course, which is huge. We've talked about how important that vitamin is. It's the low levels of vitamin D are linked to postpartum depression, and sex hormone imbalances. So for a mom that isn't eating well and isn't nourishing and repleting, bringing back those nutrients, they're much more likely to fall into these symptoms and these, illnesses. So like postpartum depression sometimes is, they're given antidepressants and they have to stop nursing, and they, it's a big deal, and they're just given a pharmaceutical to cover it up. And really, when we check their nutrient status, you can ask your doctor to check your vitamin D status. That can be really low, and just getting enough vitamin D can really help your mood, stabilize your sleep, your hormones, all of that. So, really considering your food and every single bite that you eat as medicine is a new perspective that I want moms to have. I want you to think of this differently. I educate a lot of my patients around nutrition, because that is the medicine that we eat every single day. And we have a choice to make with every bite. We can have a food that is going to deplete our energy, or it's going to boost our energy. And so if you think about it that way, are you going to get the bagel, or are you going to get, the salad, or the chicken salad, or, a banana or an apple versus crackers? Like, thinking about it as like your fuel needs to be high grade, high octane fuel, because you want to be driving clean, you want
Us.
to be burning clean fuel, not, the 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 car that's kind of putzing around and smoke is coming out, and it's barely getting by. You want to be that Mercedes, that brand new, driving clean, or even the electric vehicle, that's just like burning clean fuel and supporting our mood, our energy, our sleep, and most important, very importantly, our babies, right? You were nourishing them through our milk. So yeah,
It's
that's
kind of like when um when you're going on a plane and they do the whole safety safety thing, safety talk, they're always saying, fit your mask before others. And this is the same way, right? You've got to fit your mask, feed yourself, then you're going to be well enough to look after your baby and everybody else.
That's right.
Which is really important, that we've got to really try and listen to that. So with these nutrients is also the hormones as well, because when we're pregnant and we have the baby, these hormones are going all over the place. So what role does like a hormonal imbalance play in postnatal depletion? And how does that sort of how does that play out in overall well-being for mom?
Yeah. So the hormones estrogen and progesterone increase during pregnancy, and then they decrease within 48 hours of baby delivery. And oxytocin, for example, increases postnatally. That's one hormone that increases, right? It's that bonding hormone, and it's released when we're nursing, or when we're cuddling, or skin to skin contact. So oxytocin, great. That's a hormone that will actually help us like get through those hard times, right? But cortisol is another hormone that can increase postnatally, due to all the new demands, as a mother, and multitasking and poor sleep, and then the drop in the other hormones. This can lead to baby brain depression, anxiety, fatigue, mood instability, PMS. And, hormones have such a huge impact on our bodies as it is, just like every minute of the day. Like, if I were to test your hormones this morning, they would be completely different than this evening. So it's like this fine tuning that needs to happen, throughout the day for us to feel kind of like even and healthy and good. And so after having a baby, there's this significant drop, and that can be really shocking to a lot of moms. That can really send them into a low and dark place. And that's also, it can look like depression. It can look like a lack of bonding with your baby, or just like disillusion. Like it's so common, like, like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like, why did I have a baby? Like, moms question.
Why did I sign up for this? Why did I sign up for this?
Yeah.
This isn't what it is on social media. Everyone's like making it look really easy and everyone's happy.
Definitely. Oh gosh, yeah. And it's hard. I mean, along with your own expectations of yourself, you have a lot of expectations of what motherhood is, and maybe the motherhood, the mother that you didn't have. And so all of these things start to come up, right? Like extreme emotional kind of memories and triggers, and just there is a normal aspect to that because your hormones are dropping. And so it's really important to be gentle with yourself and know that like this is part of the journey into motherhood, right? It's a rite of passage, and being prepared for that is very important. I do prepare a lot of like, pregnant moms during pregnancy, and help them set themselves up for that transition. Because
Yeah.
it's not all unicorns and rainbows. It's very much
Oh,
like
no, it's not.
it can be a dark place. And so if you have that support system around you, it's super important. And then balancing hormones it can take months or even years, depending on how well your body is healing. So this is why it's so important to take care of yourself during that postpartum time, because your transition, hormonally into menopause is very much influenced by this time. So 10 years before is like, that's when you have to start nourishing your body, making sure you're, supplementing for those deficiencies so that you have this very normal, natural, healthy transition into menopause. Your hormones are balanced. There's not these ups and downs. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so yeah, hormones are just like very, very fine. They're chemicals that can make us feel elated or depressed. And we know that as women, around our cycle, we are completely different from, the beginning of our cycle to the end, right? And we notice those ups and downs. So it's really important to kind of learn how to manage that. And, through nutrition, lifestyle, I do help a lot of women tune in and, dive deep into like why they're feeling the way they are, and often
Yeah.
is hormone related.
Yeah. It's really sort of beginning to touch home with me and like knock me on the head when you're saying like it can, it's this like 10-year period, because my eldest Leo, he just turned 9 and Chloe's 7. And I'm like, my gosh, I'm still in this place. So do I just, am I still, if my husband is like, oh, why haven't you done that? So well, I've still got baby brain, I'm still postnatal. I'm within this 10-year. Is it giving me like a get out of jail free card kind of pass sort of thing? But it's, whilst, having a giggle about it, it's really real. It's really real.
Mhm.
So, what would you say is the long-term implications of, a mum who is postnatally depleted, and isn't getting any help, if it's untreated? What would you say the long-term implications of that are on mum and I guess her overall parenting abilities, right?
Yeah. The long-term implications are pretty big. If this depletion is left untreated, because the lack of sleep, the increased stress, the big demands of work, they all contribute to more depletion. And like you said, your kids are 7 and 9. Um, yeah, I said that right, 7 and 9.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's not like the demands have diminished, right, as they get older. The
They
demand,
just change. Yeah, they change. And my friends who've got older children always said to them, right from the beginning, when I've been having those moments like, sitting on the kitchen floor and crying and going, I can't do this, I didn't sign up for this. I'll phone them and I'll say, like, please tell me it gets easier. Please tell me it gets better. And, you know, spoiler alert here, it wasn't the answer I was looking for. And they said it doesn't get easier, but it's just different. Whether that you find that different, easier or not, is very individual. And it depends, what you're going through and how what that child is really like. And I can see that. And I say that to, my clients and my friends now who've got younger children as well. Like it's just different. It's different.
it's different. And I like to think of it, and the answer that I would give on, now being on the other side, sort of like having 2 little ones, and they're still in, my younger is 5 and a half. So I'm still experiencing this for the first time, but I noticed that it doesn't get easier. We just get stronger. We grow new muscles as parents, right? I
Yeah.
feel sometimes like I didn't know I was capable of this, Like, how am I waking up at 5 or 6 a.m. every day and still managing to do everything that I do? And it's like, oh, it's because I'm growing. I'm getting stronger. I'm learning how to balance my life so that I can continue to do this day in, day out for years to come. it's not just gonna be over one day. They're gonna all sleep through the night every single night for years, and they're not gonna just start making their own meals anytime soon. So I know that like pacing yourself and really taking every day as an opportunity to take care of the things that need to being taken care of, taking care of in yourself. So if you had a hard time over the weekend, maybe giving yourself something more during the week when your kids are at school or daycare, taking yourself out or getting a massage or getting a treatment somewhere or just taking a nap, like allowing yourself these things, what we think of as luxuries, right? Like, oh, I got things to do. But really, those things go a long way and they allow us to keep going and keep running this marathon of parenting because it's not just going to stop. The demands, the sickness, all of these things, they're just going to keep coming. So, back to just like the long-term implications, the more depletion that gets added as the years go on, right? Like when your kids are, mid and then the teenage years, like there's still going to be demands. The more adrenal depletion that you'll have. So your energy doesn't just go back to where it was magically before you had kids, right? When they're sleeping through the night and everything. You actually have to find out why or where you're at depleted, how depleted you are, and then treat that. And so like testing is one way that I do that with patients is testing their adrenal hormones. And
what does that show? What does that show?
Yeah, so adrenal hormones are where cortisol is produced and DHEA. Cortisol is that stress hormone, the fight or flight hormone, right? It is a natural part of our stress response, and it's good for us. It gets us into action. It helps us build muscle. It helps us exercise, stay alert and awake. But if you're chronically stressed, the cortisol is high.
Right.
It doesn't go down. And that depletes other hormones like DHEA, like progesterone, hormones that contribute to our, feel good kind of like emotions, also our libido, also our ability to heal, our immune system. All of that is related to DHEA. And so we need to reset that feedback loop. It's actually a feedback loop of messages that our brain receives from the stressor, for example, my baby who's a year and a half, if she's, running down the street and she's been walking since she was 11 months. So she's got it down, but if she trips, in my mind, it's like, am I going to have to take her to the hospital? Like if she breaks something, falls on her face. So I'm in high alert, my stress.
High alert.
Yeah, and I'm just like on, just ready to like grab her any minute. And so if that doesn't turn off after that, and I realize like, oh, that wasn't a problem at all, or if I don't have that perspective to know she's fine, she's okay, we'll deal with whatever happens, then that it causes this cycle of like producing, my brain is always perceiving danger. And so my body will start to produce more and more cortisol and deplete DHEA. And so on the lab test, we can see where the cortisol is, that rhythm. Is it, constantly high all day, or is it dropping? So that normally you want the cortisol to be highest in the morning when you first wake up, right? That gets you upset. And
that's what wakes us up in the morning, right?
Yeah, it goes up with the sun. And then it naturally declines, midday, and then the afternoon, it starts to get lower and lower so that you can go to sleep. But if my cortisol is doing this all day, that's going to affect
like a mountain, up and down, the Richter scale.
Exactly. If it's going up in the morning and then dropping in the midday and then afternoon spikes up again because I'm stressed out picking up the kids at school, or they're home in the evening and I'm trying to make dinner, goes up again, and then it has a hard time dropping back down because I'm not, managing my stress properly. Then I'm going to go into sleep, into the night with poor sleep, inability to fall asleep or stay asleep, and that further, contributes to that vicious cycle of depletion. So knowing where you're at with your stress hormones, and if they're high or low, because over time they will become low and depleted. And that's when you start to experience that chronic fatigue, like, oh, it's hard for me to get out of bed in the morning. It's hard for me to want to play with my kids, or even like be excited about playing with my kids. I just want them to go away. Like those start to creep in when you're,
There's that guilt factor, isn't it? Going, oh, I should play with them. I need to be playing with them. I've had kids. These are my kids. I love them. And it's this
yeah.
vicious cycle.
Yeah, so that all contributes to that, more depletion. And so I'm a big fan of testing, and, don't test and don't guess. Once you test, you will be able to work smarter and not harder. So
I
once
love it.
you're just like, okay, great, I'm gonna just focus on this aspect of my health. If my cortisol's high, I'm gonna manage that cortisol with various lifestyle interventions, whether it's exercise or certain foods or certain supplements. And if it's low, I'm gonna take it easy, and I'm gonna nourish my adrenals in this other way. So all of that will contribute to your mental health, your immune system, your digestion, your energy, and dealing with it right away, not for years. Why are you going to wait for 5 years until you're a mess in perimenopause, with all of the extremes in the hormone fluctuations, instead of dealing with it now? You don't want these long-term implications, right? It's At the end of the day, it's quality of life, and you want quality of life today, right? Or yesterday. You don't want to, you hit rock bottom. So these are all, that's why I'm such an advocate for moms to get into it. Just like figure it out right now. Like, we don't want to be
We're
in
here to help. Yeah. And that's like what your guide is doing, is like, gives you these little tips, that you can try each day, and, slowly get your brain training to sort of be healthier, be more in tune with you, and remember that you are the driving force here of looking after everybody.
Definitely. Yeah. Sometimes those, in the guide, I do give some of like, some things are kind of like logical. And when you get it, when you open up the guide, you'll see like, oh yeah, diet, like that's huge. And like, what is important in my diet for me to have long-term energy? Like all
When
day.
you do some recipes, and I need to get my printer working. I want to print them out and do these recipes, and it's like, you don't just talk about these, you know, healthy foods. You actually give some recipes to try out for breakfast, which is like the main important meal of the day, right? To set us up for the day. And I'm like, brilliant, this is what I need. I don't just need to be given half the information, I need to be told all the information. So don't just eat healthy. What does that healthy look like? Here are some recipes. Great, brilliant. Put it on my shopping list, get it, do it, done. Excellent, which is really, really helpful.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you found that helpful. Yeah, I think that giving as much information, that's why I love, giving, doing some interviews, because I just can give so much information right away, and like help moms identify what's normal and what's not normal, and what area can I focus on right now to get my energy back. So this is why, the guide is so great to get into.
So with these, with your guide, you're giving these tips on, what to do going forward. But what about preventative measures? Okay, so let's just say I'm pregnant, which I'm not, been there, done that, had that t-shirt, washed it 1,000 times. If I was to go back into that place, what are the preventative measures and strategies that I could do now to avoid getting into that place of this depletion, this postnatal depletion? And what I felt, when I had Leo for the first time, and I'd been a nanny for 20 years. I knew how to change a nappy. I knew how to feed a baby. I knew what to do with the baby. I also got to walk out the door at the end of the day, go home and hang out with my friends or get a good night's sleep and come back fresh the next day. What I hadn't had practice for is actually being mum, and all of these, hormones and nutrients and everything, and the partner, and all of these things, and the baby screaming and crying in the night going, is he hungry? Well, what is it? What can I do now to prevent this crash, this depletion?
Yeah. Well said. So yeah, I think it's super important, first of all, to set realistic goals for yourself. That's like first and foremost. I feel like, expectations can really mess you up, right? It can be a big setback for a lot of us. Like, oh, I expected, to be back at work and having all the energy and, staying up late and all of this stuff, and it's not happening, and that's really disappointing, and it's exhausting. So really important to set realistic goals for yourself, whether you're a new mom or an experienced mom. And
Not high goals, not like just real, like you say, realistic. Don't like try and reach for the stars. Like,
yeah,
I'm going to go to like yoga and baby sensory classes when my baby's 5 weeks old,
no, and it's like after you're a mom, you have to realize that you can't put, before you were mom, you might have put 110% of your energy into your business or something. When you're a mom, you won't probably go back to that ever again. Just to be realistic here, you might get 75% and feel good about it, like 75% at work, 75% as a mom, 75% on yourself. And that's realistic, right? That's realistic thinking. Like I can I can't be up until 1 a.m. anymore working on my business or writing a blog post. That's just not realistic for me anymore. And I have to be okay with that, And once I set that goal, like I have a new rule that I'm not going to be working past 10 p.m. at all anymore because it affects my sleep. I know that if I'm on the computer past 10 p.m., I'm not going to get to bed till midnight.
Yes,
So
that blue light and your mind whirring and all these things.
exactly. And so my sleep is so valuable to me. And I know that if I don't get, enough good quality sleep, I'm not going to be productive at all the next day. So I'll go from thinking I'm 110% and then the next day to 20%. And then my day's ruined. So
Right.
if I want to run the long, think of the long arc and run that marathon and finish the marathon, I have to think about the things I can do every single day. And so instead of 5 things on the list that are done, I might get 2 or 3 things done and feel okay. And so that's the beginning. Like setting yourself up for success means setting your bar a little lower, right? Not like it used to be. And so the other thing is knowing the signs of depletion early on is helpful so that you can address them right away. So
Yeah.
I always say preparing during pregnancy is ideal, even though nothing can really prepare you for the reality.
No, it really can't, people.
Right?
It really can't.
Yeah, there's something about just, going through it, but, really preparing as much as you can in terms of like knowing the signs and symptoms, right? So I do recommend, again, grabbing my guide, the free guide, the Thriving Mama Guide for Abundant Health, Energy at Home and Work, because you can really set yourself up with these tips right away. And if you kind of like practice these things on a regular basis,
Yes.
that's a way to prevent further depletion. So just right there, you can prevent from getting into deeper depletion. But there's also ways that you can set yourself up for taking care of while you're taking care of a new baby. You can stock your home with, different nutraceuticals or supplements. I recommend certain things like having magnesium around or digestive support like probiotics or digestive enzymes, adaptogenic herbs, which are really helpful for that long-term stress that we experience. Taking these herbs will help you kind of like boost your immune system and also calm that anxiety, but boost your energy as well. So giving you kind of like clear energy. Adaptogenic herbs are really good for that. And then from a dietary perspective, making sure you're getting enough protein, and not eating too low carb or skipping meals. So for some people that might look
So
like,
easily done. Skipping meals is so easily done. And even now, and like story last night, giving the kids dinner. It was like leftovers from the last couple of days, bit of this, bit of that, the pasta, the baked potatoes. And I just looked at them and thought, I don't want any of this. It's all carb rich and bit of bolognese. I was like, I don't want this. And I just wanted something really light. But I ended up too busy getting the kids' meals, tidying up the kitchen, skipped the meat, which is just not good at all. It's not good. It's not good at all.
Yeah. So yeah, blood sugar stability is a big way to prevent more burnout, because every time we skip a meal, we are causing more stress on our system. You know, when our blood sugar drops, our cortisol rises, because our cortisol, that stress hormone, is trying to bring up our blood sugar and, you know, help us continue to, you know, be productive or do what we need to do. So for some people, to eat every 2 or 3 hours is really helpful with adrenal fatigue symptoms. So, you know, if you have this stressful or anxious, kind of tired and wired feeling, you might need more blood sugar support. So eating plenty of protein, you know, throughout the day, especially breakfast, to set yourself up for the day. So if you're having like just carbs in the morning, like some people will just have a cup of coffee and maybe like a bagel or, you know, some cookies, your blood sugar is spiking really high while you're eating it, and then it drops really low.
And crash.
And yeah, and that's super stressful on the body. And so that causes more depletion. And then you're going to have to raise that blood sugar somehow. And what do? You grab that bagel, or you grab the cracker, or you make, you know, you get a croissant on the go. Like these things are just, you know, it's a recipe for disaster in terms of like, you know, causing more fatigue and exhaustion. Because you're not stabilizing your blood sugar.
It's that mountain again, up and down, up and down, up and down. So how would you tailor your nutritional recommendations for a mum who's, you know, depleted and she needs that support during the postpartum recovery?
Yeah. So, when it comes to nutritional recommendations, I again like to follow that belief, don't test, don't guess. So there are some like basics that I recommend, like for sure getting enough protein, getting good quality fats is super important. So a lot of people don't get enough fat, and there is
The
still
good
like this,
fats.
yeah, the good fats. There's still a fear of fats. Like there's a lot of people, especially women, you know, after they have the baby, they're like trying to lose weight again. And there's just like, oh,
Yeah.
low fat this, low fat that, or low calorie or diet soda, like all of these things. Just let go of that belief system, because good fats are actually really sustaining good energy and will help you lose weight if you are getting the right fats in your body. It also
Okay.
they're extremely important for mood stability and hormone support. So if your hormones are off and you're not getting enough fat, there's no way you're going to lose that weight, because your body is under stress. And when you're under
Mm-hmm.
stress, your body holds on to fat, especially around the belly. So, you know, it's contradictory,
Contradictory.
yeah, to be eating low fat when you're trying to lose weight, especially in the postpartum period with all the
I hadn't
deficiencies.
thought about it. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it like that.
Yeah, so there's definitely you know, tests that you can do to check for nutrient deficiencies. I do a lot more, you know, you with your primary care doctor, you can probably check your vitamin D status, maybe your B vitamin status. I do a
Mm-hmm.
more thorough evaluation with a nutritional evaluation lab test. It's functional. So it looks at like all your fatty acids. It looks at your fat soluble vitamins. It looks at your amino acid intake. So seeing if like your diet is adequate enough for your needs. And then once I see those results, I give very customized nutrition and diet plans for certain goals,
Okay.
as well as for, you know, supplementing those deficiencies.
It's
Um,
very individualized,
it
and
is
presumably you can tailor these recommendations for a mum who is vegetarian or vegan, for example, or you know, her gluten-free diet, you know, various different requirements.
definitely, yeah, I do that all the time. You know, people have the allergies or, you know, food sensitivities or anything. And And just to give an example of, you know, the fact that we can still have deficiencies, a mom can have a whole foods diet, eat 3 meals a day, and possibly be on like a good multivitamin or prenatal.
Yeah.
But when we test, there still could be some deficiencies there. And this could be due to a lot of different factors like poor digestion, low stomach acid, adrenal depletion, or, you know, even a lack
Okay.
of sleep. Because then if you're not sleeping well, you're not your body is not doing its job of detoxing and rejuvenating
Repairing. Yeah.
your body. And so you will, you know, have a negative balance, so to speak, in your bank account, right? Every night that you don't sleep, you're tapping into your savings. And so if you
Yeah.
don't replenish your savings, and those nutrients, you're just going to keep going forward with those deficiencies. Even if you're eating well, you're not replenishing what was lost. So
Yes.
you're in sleep debt or nutrition debt, and you have to like kind of do extra to get that back.
And you don't, sometimes you don't have that energy to get that extra back, to do that extra thing.
Right,
So you're
exactly.
in this cycle, this vicious cycle. And when you were mentioning proteins there, is that, I mean, I guess this would again be very tailored to the mum who eats meat and who doesn't. But again, is it really important to be eating meat proteins? You know, if a mum is, eats all foods,
Yeah. So
proteins thought of, a really high protein value, an important meal to have on your plate.
yeah, if you are, you know, if you're an omnivore and you do eat meat, I would say, so it's important to have meat protein. I'll just say that, you know, if you're an omnivore. If you're a vegetarian, there's other ways to get
Okay.
amino acids, right? The quality of protein is very different from plants to animals.
Yes.
So if you are, you know, a vegetarian, the amount of grams of a food is going to be much higher than a meat product because you don't need as much meat to get as much of the amino acids.
Mhm.
So that said, yeah, I do a lot of tailoring to vegetarians or vegans to make sure they're getting enough of those high
Yeah.
quality amino acids and high
Okay.
quality fats is more importantly because those omega-3s, you know, those essential fatty acids, super important for brain development and your baby eye development, brain, you know, brain function, like cognition and all of that, like, and inflammation. So when I see depression, that is neuroinflammation. Your brain is inflamed. So you need those high quality fats to nourish the brain and to, you know, bring down that inflammation. So I do, you know, with supplements and with food, make sure that women are getting enough of those high quality fats that are in meat, if they do eat meat. So, you know, good
Yes.
quality fish and good quality beef and chicken. Those are all really important for great nutrition, great protein and amino acids.
Okay. So what about if we put the food, the diet aside, what other examples of like the holistic approaches um would be beneficial that you can recommend in helping prevent postnatal depletion as well? If people are thinking, okay, so the food is one thing, is there anything else that I can be doing as well?
Yeah, so I think it's super critical that a mom is taking a prenatal vitamin before conception, during pregnancy, and then while still nursing afterwards. So if you're still nursing, you need to be, you know, definitely supplementing. Um, if you're not nursing and it's been, you know, a year or so and you're doing just like more nutritional interventions and eating really high nutrient dense food, then you might not need that supplement. But another, you know, area is sleep. So making sure you're sleeping well ensures that your body is able to restore and recover every day. This means getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, uninterrupted, if possible. Um, and
That's
you know,
where I come in.
yeah, exactly. Get a sleep consultant if your baby's not sleeping, especially after a year. You really want to be recovering, right? And
Yeah.
And then another way is, acupuncture. It's such a great modality for balancing and strengthening your immune system, like especially during pregnancy and beyond, and there's no side effects. So it's completely safe adjunct to other therapies and medication as well. So there's no side effects if you're on like some pharmaceuticals or doing other therapies. I think it's a very complementary modality that can really help with sleep, getting really good quality sleep, balancing hormones, ailments like headaches or even just exhaustion, helps you kind of reset your nervous system. There's also herbs that you can take to support your adrenals. So those stress hormones that are depleted, you can support with maca root is one of my favorites.
What's that one?
Maca, M-A-C-A. Maca,
Okay.
it's an Andean, so from the Andes, this root that it's food-based because it's in the Andes they actually eat it in their foods, but it's sold sort of in the rest of the world as a supplement. So you can buy the powder, the
Never
dehydrated,
heard of it.
you put it in your smoothie. It has this like really nutty, like sweet flavor. I love the taste of it. Sometimes it's mixed with cacao or chocolate. Um, Astragalus root is another one. Holy basil is another one. Lemon balm
Lemon balm I've heard of, but these other ones I haven't heard of at all.
and chamomile. These are
Yeah.
all anxiolytics, or they kind of they have calming effects. So they're calming the nervous system so that your body can actually rest and you're not sending those danger signals to your stress, to your adrenals. And these, some of these like lemon balm and chamomile and holy basil, they're safe during pregnancy as well. So you can start kind of like getting the habit of taking care of your adrenals early on.
That's the thing. It's practice, practice, practice. And once you're doing it, it then becomes the habit.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So these herbs are great to help you, protect you against the damage of stress, the damage that it can have on your physical, mental, and emotional body. Right. Like if you're stressed out all the time, it does affect all of these systems. And then other practices like yoga or meditation and breath work. These practices give you a lot of tools how to deal with stress as it's happening. So it helps you to tune into your body and understand what you need. So learning these are great preventative measures that you can take. And I always, I like to say, like, you don't just like run a marathon. You have to train, right? You have to train for this. You have to
Yeah.
train for the stress of being a parent or a new mom and training for the ups and downs in life. And that's what meditation is, and that's what yoga is, and eating well and having an apothecary that you go to, when you're feeling these things, you have that supplement that you reach for, that magnesium or that chamomile, or, and not just like, oh, I'm gonna, take an Advil and go to sleep. It's like, no, listen to your body and practice like
Yeah.
tuning into what you need and doing that breath work so that, when you are having a stressful moment and, the eggs have fallen all over the floor and you're crashing, you're like, I'm fine. Like I can handle this. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
take a breather. I'm gonna go into the other room and do my breath work exercise or do a little meditation, reset my body, and I'm on with the next thing. And your body doesn't have to stay in that fight or flight place for hours, or you don't have
And
to like,
then, and when you're able to come through that, you're able to go, wow, actually, I came through that. I managed that. I did that. And it will give you another extra boost as well, going, yay, well done me, a pat on the back, rather than going, oh my gosh, my life is falling apart and this is terrible. And then going that down in that crash.
yeah. Yeah. And the more you do it, I mean, that's like I said, it's a muscle that you grow, right? As parents, like it's just changing. That stress changes from, baby sleep to school activities, or,
Yeah.
teenage years. I don't even know what's to
Yeah, I
come.
know, and I'm coming up to that and I'm getting scared already.
Yeah, it's all like having us raise the level of awareness and, those muscles of like self-care and caring for others. And so in a way, like parenting is like the biggest tool for self growth, personal growth, right? Because it's giving us that opportunity to look at ourselves and what needs to change in us to be a good parent. So if we change that perspective from, oh my God, parenting is so exhausting and I'm stressed out and all of these, it's my kids are terrors or whatever, we can think of it as like, wow, they're giving us this amazing opportunity to grow into our highest potential as
Yeah.
human beings, and really like take that on as like an opportunity to like take care of ourselves and learn more about how we can be healthier.
Yeah, exactly. Can you share like a success story, like a mum maybe that you worked with that came to you in this place and you were like, yep, okay, we've got some postnatal depletion going on here. Can you share a sort of story there, a success story?
Sure. Yeah, I love stories. So I have a working mom that I worked with last year, and she's a great example because she's a mom of three and she's a working mom of three. So I don't know how she did it. And working full time with three kids. Her husband was also working full time. So, nobody's really
It's a
taking.
busy time.
Yeah, and she had symptoms of anxiety. She had a lot of joint pain, like aches and pains, poor sleep. So she was waking up a lot in the night. I think she was passing out really early, like just exhausted at the end of the day, but then she would wake up a few
Okay.
hours later,
So
unable to go.
she was waking herself up rather than like on her own, rather than the children waking up all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
She was having sugar cravings. She was having digestive issues like IBS, like, the alternating stools, loose and constipation. And then she also had headaches. And she was pretty like, educated, um, had like a fairly balanced diet, eating pretty well, but sometimes she skipped meals. And she would eat sugary snacks instead of a meal, just out of convenience, right? Or
Sounds familiar.
yeah, so like that's totally common. She just wasn't, yeah, she would survive, get by on like several cups of coffee throughout the day, from morning to the afternoon, especially that
Yeah.
afternoon, she would have that energy drop.
Slump. Yeah.
Yeah, she would exercise just like 2 times a week, and she didn't really have much social support outside of the family. Um, didn't really make time for friends or community, because what time is left, right? After three kids and work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what we did was I tested, I did the initial intake, heard her medical history. Then I decided, what tests to order at that point. So I ordered that adrenal test, and her results showed that she was in stage 3 adrenal exhaustion. So that's when your cortisol is low and your DHEA is low. And
Okay.
even after having one kid, there's like one level of depletion, 2 kids, more depletion, 3 kids, and then work. And so there's just like deep depletion for her.
Mhm.
We found out that she was in that stage 3, which is like the kind of more extreme case of depletion. Her
Mhm.
B vitamin levels were low, so that also causes low energy. And then she had dysbiosis, so like an imbalance in her gut microbiome. Um,
Okay.
that caused like malabsorption, because she wasn't digesting her food properly. So she wasn't absorbing the nutrition from her food. So even though she was eating really good quality food, home cooked meals, she wasn't absorbing the nutrition. And then on
Mhm.
top of that, she had oxidative stress, low omega-3 index, and then she had low magnesium, potassium, and selenium. So
Okay. So a lot of things going on here.
yeah, through those tests, we found that out. I wouldn't have known. So once looking at the results, I was able to put her on a really high quality multivitamin. I did some fish oils, and then I put her on a GI microbiome program to kind of boost her microbiome and bring back the good bacteria in her gut. And then
Okay.
an adrenal program as well that included, adaptogens and cortisol support, and then a diet plan that addressed these specific deficiencies with specific foods. So, like if she's her omegas were low. We're talking, you know, getting good like fatty fish in there, sardines, salmon, nuts and seeds, like
Yeah.
walnuts. And then so I got her on that protocol, the programs. And at our 6-week check-in, she after she began that program, she was already feeling less anxious. She was
Wow.
through the night. So yeah, just nourishing the
It
things
happened really quickly then.
very quickly, because when you have deficiencies, you know, if you're so super thirsty and you drink a 40-ounce bottle of water, you feel better right away, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Respond so well when we give them what is deficient. So if you're low in, magnesium, and you take that magnesium, you're going to feel better right away. Like within 30 minutes, you're going to notice, wow, like I feel good, like you're going to start to benefit from those things. So when you start eating, good quality food, 6 weeks is a long time of really good, nutrient dense food with things that
Yeah.
are her headaches were also gone at 6 weeks. So that's huge. And then after 12 weeks, so that was the 6-week check-in. After 12 weeks, her joint pain was gone. She didn't feel like she needed coffee anymore. She didn't rely on it anymore. I think she went down to like 1 cup in the morning, and in the afternoon, she's had her energy still. She was eating really well, balancing her blood sugar. And yeah, after those 12 weeks, she was a new woman, and she was elated because her main goal for seeking me out for help was for her to have enough energy to work for work and to be with her kids and enjoy raising
Yeah.
her kids instead of just another chore, right? And so
Yeah.
that's
And getting home at the end of the day and going, oh, I've got to do story time as well. And I just want to go to bed.
yeah, and that's essentially, I help patients get clear on like, what is your ultimate goal? Like, what is like an ideal day look like in the future? Like if you can just like wave a magic wand, what is your like ideal day with your family at work and all this? And most everybody is just like, I just want to enjoy my family. I want to enjoy raising my kids and be there for them, have the energy to like play with them if they're little, or, be present for them if they're having a hard time, and not feel super run down by it. And so
Yeah.
this patient fulfilled that in just about 12 weeks, sticking to the
Wow.
plan and getting her, getting her energy back and getting, taking away digestive issues and headaches. I mean, quality of life is everything when you're parenting, right? You want to be able to enjoy
Yeah.
those precious years. They go by in a flash, and
Yeah.
want to really be present for them. So yeah,
Yeah. That's amazing. Oh, it's so nice to hear that. Well done. And I guess does she come back, another 6 weeks after that to say, I'm still here, I'm still totally functioning, I'm doing all of the things. And I guess by that point, again, it's that lifestyle that you changed for her so drastically is
Mhm.
now a habit for her in a good way, and she's continuing to be in that really good place.
For sure. Yeah. And the things that, I teach
Wonderful.
in the Monse Method program are, you know, things that set you up for life. So when you start to notice something's off balance, you know what to do, right? Like, oh, my
Yes.
gut's not feeling like right. What's going on? Oh, I need to add this to my diet, or I need to get this supplement because I noticed that, it's upper GI or it's lower GI, or my sleep is starting to be a little off. What do I need to look into? And so these new habits become kind of like second nature, and it's for life. And you could teach that to your children, and the rest of your
Mm.
family, because they're going to benefit from your good health, by having you in good shape, and then you knowing what to give them when they're out of shape. So,
Yeah. So
mhm.
I'm listening to this and I'm going, this is what I need. This is what I want. I've got to do this. Where do I start? Like, how do people find you? Where's the starting point for people if
Sure.
they
Yeah,
want to take this journey with you?
definitely. I love to just give that free guide just to start, so that women can moms can kind of check it out and see like, oh, this is like kind of the path I want to take. Because
Yes.
it's not just like handing me the baton and saying, oh, I'm going to treat you and that's it, you're better. It requires a lot of partnership and, you know, dedication and commitment to your own health. But once you are in that place, you can schedule either a fatigue evaluation call with me if you're in that depleted place and you're like ready to work together. You can schedule a call, and that's you can find that on montserrathealth.net. So that's
Okay.
my website that shows a lot of information, give you information, and you can grab that free guide there on montserrathealth.net. And there's also a button for booking a call. I do have a free master class coming up on the 30th of July.
Ooh,
And
that's
that,
next week.
what's that?
That's next week.
Yeah, the 30th, it's in 7 days. That's right. It's
Okay.
So I will post information on montserrathealth.net for that. There is a sign up link to that masterclass. And this is my masterclass called From Exhausted to Expansive, 3 evidence-based strategies to radically reduce your fatigue. And I'm going to be going deep into the major sort of interventions that you can do to reduce your fatigue and why what you're
Okay.
doing isn't working. So that's a really amazing, it's a live masterclass. So I'm going to be speaking to you, you know, in the present moment. And I'm going to be also asking questions and checking in with moms and seeing what their major kind of complaints are, and speaking to that. So
Wonderful. I'm going to sign up for that. I'm coming to that.
yeah, definitely would love to have you. So yeah, montserrathealth.net, MONTSE health.net. And that's where you'll find the guide and the sign up for the masterclass.
Brilliant. I'm going to put all these links in the show notes. And it's easy for people to just click on the link and find you and follow all of the information there that you've given. You've given us so much information. It's really, really helpful. And I know there is going to be a lot of mums out there, or mums to be, who are going to get a lot out of this. It's really interesting. And you know, this whole thing, oh, it's normal, it's normal, it's normal. Whilst yes, it is normal, I think you've opened our eyes up to the fact that there's a threshold there of normality. And if you cross that threshold, then we've got to look at, you know, what's going on there and bring you back.
Definitely. Yeah.
So thank you. It's been
Awesome.
really good. Thank you so much, Monse. I really enjoyed today. And I know we've got one more podcast to be recording in the future. So we'll get a date in the diary to do that one. But for today, thank you very, very, very much. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, been a pleasure of mine. Love sharing with everybody, and I look forward to the next one. Thank you, Rachel.
Brilliant. Okay, I'll speak to you soon.
Sure. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.